Bob, congratulations for starters. But can you talk about the timing of the decision, because it is an odd time in June for this type of announcement?
Well, after 18 and a half years, when is the right time? We're in a cycle yearly that never stops, and it isn't. And then if that thought comes to you, whenever it is, after 18 and a half years, do you act on it immediately, or do you weigh it? And do you, well, is that really what I want to do? Or there isn't a good time. That's the bottom line. And just here lately, really in the last week and a half, I knew it was the right thing to do for me personally, and the right thing to do moving forward for the, for the program and for the university, that this would be a positive thing.
Let's go James, then we'll go Cliff, and then Myron.
Lincoln, congratulations, Bob. Congratulations on your great career. Lincoln, you've always talked about your mentors and the coaches that you've been with. And you just said they're the polar opposites, and that you're sitting right in the middle of it. You've always talked about how you thought that was such a cool spot. Could you talk about that a little bit more, and maybe what you and Bob talked about as he passed the baton to you today?
Yeah, I think we're all shaped by the people that we're around, especially our mentors growing up. And I think, as a young coach, I know I said it when I got hired, I was so lucky to have different mentors that gave you different ideas, different responsibilities at young ages, and just really helped prepare me. And I've done my best to listen and to learn. And then, yeah, having Coach as a mentor over the last few years has been incredible. I mean, just his track record speaks for itself. And then it just, again, there's just so many things that he was able to pass along to me over the last few years, and will continue to do so, that made me really feel at ease with this. I think of all the head coaches that I've worked for, I think I am most similar to him. I think more aligned probably with him as far as just overall thought process, philosophies. But at the same time, I also know that part of this job is you've got to be yourself. You've got to take the lessons that you've learned from the great people and certainly apply those, but you've also got to be yourself. If you don't, then it won't work. And so yeah, we've had some great conversations over the past few days, but honestly, we've had, not all obviously on this subject, but great conversations since the day I came to work for him. And we've been in sync. It's worked obviously great together when you look at the results, and I'm thrilled that he's going to be around here where I can pick his brain when I need him, because I promise you he'll get a phone call or two from me.
Coach Stoops, Lincoln's only been here for a couple of years. What did he show you in such a short period of time to give you the confidence to be able to step away like this?
Yeah, all the things he really showed and demonstrates on a daily basis, all the characteristics necessary to be a great leader and to be a successful head coach. He's a motivator. He's detailed, incredibly bright, and putting together, his game plans and his schemes, his play calling, his feel for the game. And I think probably the biggest part that I've noticed from day one is the ability to relate to the players, not just his offensive guys. He relates even to the defensive guys, and really does a great job of communicating with them and and relating with them.
Let's go Myron and then Janine.
Bob, you mentioned the why now. Is this something you've been thinking about? Is this something that maybe, and when did you know that this was the decision you wanted to?
Well, I can't go back to when I start thinking about it. Every now and then, heck, I might have thought about it 5 years ago at some point. But in the end, I really felt only in the last probably week to week and a half that this is something that I really started to feel that I would act on, and felt more and more as I really processed it, that this is positive, this is good, and this is the right time. And and that's when I went to Joe Castiglione and presented that to him, and then to President Boren shortly after.
Janine. Jenny.
Lincoln, congratulations, and Bob, congratulations as well. Will you continue to call plays on offense, or have you thought about that yet?
Yes, I will continue.
So
Yeah.
you will still be the OC as well?
Yeah, I will continue to call plays. We'll figure out the staff structure, as we move on. But, we've had one of the things that I've been blessed over the last 2 years is even with the success we've had offensively is, we've been able to keep that offensive staff, intact, which has not been easy to do. And so, the fact that I've got some guys there that I can lean on and give more to is I've got a lot of great trust in them. And and I know they'll be there to support me and do a great job just like they have the last 2 years.
Jenny, then John.
So this is related, but different questions for Joe and for Bob. Bob, when you hired Lincoln 2 years ago, you were obviously looking for an offensive coordinator, but as you talked to him, was there a thought, this could be the guy I pass the relay baton to? And then, Joe, related to that, to hire Lincoln instead of doing a search or looking around with the brand of Oklahoma, why, from your perspective, is he the right guy right now?
No, the initial hiring of Lincoln, I wasn't, anticipating already this moment. That really is just, like I said, happened in the last couple of years and really through this year that I understood that this guy, is bound to be a head coach and a really good one. And so, and that's what really in the last probably week and a half got me to move in that direction, because this entire program that's been so positive, if there isn't somebody there, the whole thing can be blown up and would never have, wanted that. So I might not have had those thoughts, but as it was, I knew this was the right opportunity and for us to continue in the exact same direction that we've been going, and hopefully a couple games better.
Well, Jenny, I think back to the time Coach Riley came aboard, and as I mentioned in my earlier remarks, I had a chance to meet him and then, cross paths a couple of times in the years following. So I had some familiarity with who he was and what he was doing and the type of responsibility he had at such a young age. And then, of course, as I mentioned, and Coach Stoops talking about him as the next offensive coordinator. But after he got here, like all of you in a lot of ways, others that had a chance to watch him and watch him interact with players, watch him take command of situations, see him handle a variety of different challenges, start to, the thought starts to cross your mind, he's demonstrating some pretty special qualities. No idea, when, some type of situation like this would ever occur, but took note of how he handled himself and his team around him, and himself in the community, and getting to know his family. And then, during, I guess, probably after that first season, Coach Stoops and I were having the typical end of the season conversation and talking about everything that had occurred in a transition and obviously what we were able to achieve, and then started talking about individual coaches and what we need to do to get better, and just had a chance to recognize some of the special skills that Coach Riley had demonstrated, and just took note. And through that time since, just had it in the back of my mind. I never expected it would be right now, but as any leader would do, you think about eventualities. You can't predict the exact timing, all cases, but I think back to a phrase that kind of gets used a lot, the right person at the right time. Maybe the good fortune of the stars aligning, for him being a person that we could attract to the University of Oklahoma through Coach Stoops, and seeing his special qualities, thinking about what is absolutely best for our program, which is always first and foremost in our mind. And then obviously thinking about Coach Stoops, and as he has said, what's most important to create a seamless transition. We certainly, he even said, it's obviously a question that I would have to answer, President Boren would have to answer, the board would have to answer if that was a direction, but it could be an option, and certainly a positive option. But I have to be perfectly candid. I was doing my own assessment, even though Coach Riley didn't necessarily know that all the time. And same for President Boren. I don't want to speak for him, but this it wasn't just the last week, or it's not even been a week that we started thinking about it. It's something that, again, we didn't have any plan in place, but crossed our mind.
Let's go John, then we'll go Ryan and Garen.
Yeah, Bob, there's a lot of factors I'm sure that go into this decision for you, whether it's your ability to spend more time with your family, watch your sons play their final year of high school ball, or you think about the stress level of being a D1 coach here, the health history of your father, for instance, of your family, or just Lincoln's readiness and the state of the program. Can you talk about how, or maybe describe how all those factors went into your decision, and which ones were pulling on you and which ones you maybe weren't?
I'd rather not be very, totally specific on it all. Obviously, personal things are personal. I think all of it goes into your decision, and not any one thing or not any one part of it, pushes you to over the edge. It's really the combination of all of these things, and I think as much as anything, the primary one was that the right guys right here, right now, and let's take advantage of that opportunity.
Okay, Ryan, Garen, and then Andrew.
Lincoln, you talked about being ready for this. When do you feel like you got to that point where you were ready for this, not only to be a head coach, but to be a head coach in a program like this? And what's that process been like over the last couple of years since you arrived here?
And I don't know that there's ever a one specific moment where all of a sudden you say, I'm ready. I just, again, I think I go back to the people that I've been able to learn from. And, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities where I was, fairly young for the position. Pretty much every one that I've ever had. And again, being able to learn from good people, being able to be around great players, it's they've worked out. They've done well, and then that along with being lucky, being at the right place at the right time with the right people, and I've worked hard, but I know how incredibly fortunate I am, and again, I just have a lot of confidence in the fact that these three guys are have confidence in me. And I have a lot of confidence because of the players we have, the leadership that we have right now, all the great things that we have going on in our program right now, the best football facility in the country that we just moved into, the recruiting class, the wins, it's just there's so much momentum, and I don't know that you can ever sit there and say, yep, no doubt, I'm ready. There was that moment, but I'm confident in my ability to lead this team and this program, and confident in the people within the program to get the job done.
Garen, Andrew, and then Kerry. Garen.
Bob, you told us more than once that you might just step aside and go coach middle school or junior high basketball when this was all said and done. I don't know if that's literally on your list of things to do, but I am curious as to what you might like to do now that you don't have this on your plate any longer.
I'm just trying to get to this day. I really don't have no plan. I do not have a plan. Exactly what I'm going to do. It's a little bit frightening, definitely, but I'm really a spiritual person, and I believe until you open yourself up to something, you don't know what the opportunities are, that can come to you. So we'll see, what may flow my way.
Andrew?
Coach Stoops, there's a mix out there of people today that seem sad and then also offering congratulations. Where are you on that? Is this a sense of relief, or are you sad?
I'm not sad at all. I don't believe in that. As I said in my release, one of the favorite things I say in a lot of situations is to everything there is a season, and nothing's and it's time, and that's okay. And so I feel more grateful and appreciative and blessed that I had 18 and a half years doing this with great people, great fan base, an incredible legendary school, that I got this opportunity, and it's been a great ride. So I'm happy about it, and so I'm more happy about that than I am sad that this day's here. It went fast.
Bob, can they finally put your statue up?
I hope we can find it.
We know where it is.
And secondly,
yes, I guess the answer to that would be
Trailer bed is no longer around here, though.
secondly,
might be down in Texas somewhere.
could you have walked away if it wasn't done this way, to where?
Well, I thought I intimated at that. No, this thought wouldn't have come. I wouldn't have come to this feeling and this conclusion if the right guy wasn't here, and this whole program would have been blown up. So no, I wouldn't have, come to this, to where I am today if that was the case. And that's what primarily got me thinking about it. Is again, some personal issues, in my life, which are all fine. I know there's been reports out there that something's terribly wrong with me, and that's not the case. But that a lot of circumstances together, as I said earlier, all of it together, and I knew the right guys here to continue on with all the positive we've been doing.
Let's go to John Shen, then we'll go back here, and then Jenny.
For Joe, you hired Bob when he was 38, Lincoln now is 33, I guess.
33. He'll be 34 in September. So he'll be 33. Yeah. He'll be one game, I think. He'll be 33. The next one, 34. Whatever.
Did you ever think you'd be hiring guys that young for a position this big?
Actually, I think my whole career of always trying to find the right person, the person that's prepared for whatever opportunity that we're trying to offer. And in Lincoln's case, he's far more prepared than maybe some that are at 43. And just by nature of the special opportunities that came to him very, very early, at a very early age. And we knew that, and we know that. So he has a lot more experienced person at the age of 33 than some might have at 38 or 40. It just doesn't matter. That's the way the coaching world is. Sometimes you work so hard to get that first opportunity. It might come at 24, it might come at 28, it might come at 34. You never know. But, when a person's gets it, then you try to make the most of it with experience. And that's why when talking with President Boren, of course, with Bob, even, thinking through what Coach Riley was doing in his 2 years here, you could see the experience level shine through in a variety of different ways. He was really comfortable, kind of like that commercial. He was very comfortable in his own skin. And obviously, when a person like that exudes confidence, and I remember that being such a compelling characteristic of Coach Stoops when I had a long interview with him, that very first one when we met. It's deep confidence. It's impressive, amongst many, many other characteristics, of course. But just, person doesn't have to flaunt it. You just know, you can tell when they have it and it's genuine. And Lincoln Riley's genuine.
Go back and we'll come up to Jenny and Barry.
Coach Stoops, when you got here 18 years ago, what did you imagine your career would be? Could you have thought that all this success was going to happen?
Well, I knew I was taking over one of the more special, if not the most special, football job in the, in the country. I was, I watched Oklahoma as a kid back in Ohio, and with all the great backs and Coach Switzer's exciting teams, and so I felt, when I was taking it over, that done correctly, this is a job that can compete for championships. This is a job that you could stay for a long time, and always, and hoped I could, live up to what this, the expectations and what this job people, expect of it. And fortunately, for a long time, we have. And 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 it isn't just me. I knew, and I said that, and I meant what Joe said. I said, if we did get it done right, this could be a job you'd be at a long time, and it would be because of the collective efforts of everybody that's chipped in to get it done. And fortunately, we hit the jackpot and got it rolling fast, with the second year winning the national championship, and that kick-started us to get things going fast.
Jenny, and then we'll wrap up with Barry.
Bob, Joe talked about the impact that football success has had on the entire athletic department, campus at large. Some of your fellow head coaches were your fellow head coaches are here today. What does that mean to you to see that impact on other programs and 4 national championships this year? Do you sort of take that personal to heart, the success of others?
Oh, I love it. I don't look at it as anything I have done. It's what this program has done, and like I said, it's everybody contributing together. I will say we have a very close-knit, very supportive group of head coaches in all sports that we really are, root for one another and want to support and help one another. There isn't any backbiting or any why is so-and-so this or that. It's everybody gets along and supports one another in a great way, and that begins with Joe and the many meetings we're in together. And I take great pride in it. I've always been one of those that I'm all for, Title IX. I'm all for, to me, campus and college is about all the sports. It isn't just about 1 or 2 sports. It's about everybody having an opportunity, male and female, and in all different sports. And I've always believed in that, and that's what makes all college campuses exciting, great, and so, but I do feel pride as a program and as a university that we've all done so well, and that all these other sports have, this year winning national championships, and it still brings a great bright light to OU athletics, and it's positive.
Jenny, if I could add one thing that I think to support what Coach was saying, but I know, again, he deflects credit to a lot of others. You have to go back many, many, many years, his first year, and watch what happened since. I've often mentioned that I think Coach Stoops sees more prospective student athletes of other sports than the collective number in a given year that he might see for the sport of football. I mean, he is involved in every one of the recruiting opportunities for football, of course, but all the coaches will tell you how often that they'll bring prospective student athletes by and how generous he is with his time, even at practice. And that's, maybe it happens other places, but it's more rare than people would admit. And he initially and ever since knew that football could impact positively the entire campus culture. And so it's not just now seeing those things come to fruition that we start thinking about it. It goes back to even his first years being on campus.
Okay, last question with Barry.
Bob, Lincoln mentioned that you're more similar to him than he is to Ruffin McNeil or Mike Leach. We probably all agree with that. But when you look at Lincoln, do you see any similarities with Lincoln Riley and a young Bob Stoops?
Absolutely. I really do. And I think what benefited me, I thought all along I was more similar to Coach Spurrier than any other head coach I was around as well. And then Lincoln here the last few years, I believe I've even expressed that to Joe, that that he's more like me than any of the, some of these other coaches we've had around, and that so very much so that I felt that way.
What are the similarities that you see?
Oh, good looking and.
That's good answer.
Now you start giving us more.
Well, I'm almost off the hook. So some of the, some of the similarities I feel, the relation, being able to relate to players, the intensity, the details, I think just his game management, those things, and then I think there's just a leadership quality that you recognize when players are really listening to a guy, or and really taking to heart what he's saying, and then go out and demonstrate it. So I just felt his leadership, in a lot of those areas was evident to me, and hopefully I had those. I'm not saying I had all of those, but hopefully Coach Spurrier would say the same thing.